Romance of the Three Kingdoms, Chapter 9.
We open on a scene of, well, incredibly high drama.
Peak drama.
Dongzhuo, the tyrannical prime minister, he's caught in this fit of absolute rage.
Yeah, incandescent.
He's furious with his adopted son, Lu Bu, thinks he's been dallying with his beloved concubine, Diao Shan.
Right.
And he's so consumed by it, he's ready to kill Lu Bu right there, on the spot.
And this initial burst of raw emotion, it's absolutely crucial for understanding Dongzhuo.
How so?
Well, he's powerful, yes, obviously, but he's deeply flawed by these impulses.
Okay.
Lu Bu, on the other hand, he's described as this fierce general, incredibly formidable, really the muscle behind Dongzhuo's power.
The muscle, yeah.
So you have this potent mix, right? A powerful but volatile leader and his indispensable, equally formidable adopted son.
Enter Liru, Dongzhuo's trusted advisor, often seen as like the rational guy.
A counterpoint, yeah.
He intervenes almost accidentally, kind of bumps into Dongzhuo.
Stumbles, yeah.
And then offers surprisingly pragmatic advice. He tells Dongzhuo, basically, consider the bigger picture. Diao Shan is, quote, just a woman, but Lu Bu. He's indispensable to the whole operation.
He even throws in that historical precedent.
Right. King Wang of Chu, who spared a general who offended his concubine.
And it paid off hugely later. Loyalty, benefit, the whole deal. Liru's making a strategic point.
And this is precisely the dilemma Liru presents, isn't it?
Absolutely. Will Dongzhuo prioritize his personal honor, his infatuation, or will he actually listen to this sound strategic counsel?
The text says he muses for a long time.
Yeah, showing that internal conflict. It's a classic moment, you know, the advisor trying to pull the leader back from, well, emotional folly.
He definitely grapples with it. But ultimately, the passion seems to win out, doesn't it?
It seems that way.
Especially when he goes and confronts Diao Shan directly about Lu Bu. So what does she do? Faced with this immense pressure.
Oh, her reaction is, it's theatrical. It's a masterclass in deflection and emotional manipulation. Diao Shan doesn't just deny it. No, she crafts this elaborate performance.
High performance.
Totally. She sobs, claims Lu Bu forcibly pursued her.
Where?
To the Phoenix Pavilion, you know, this secluded, elegant spot often used for private meetings. Says it caused her to nearly commit suicide in a lotus pond. And that Dongzhuo himself, ironically, saved her life.
Wow. So she frames herself as the victim saved by him.
Exactly. It puts him in the role of protector.
And Dongzhuo, he's still suspicious, though. He tests her.
He does. He actually offers to give her to Lu Bu just to see how she reacts.
And how does she react?
It's just incredible. She feigns utter horror, cries out she'd rather die than be disgraced by being given to a house servant.
A house servant? Ouch.
Big insult to Lu Bu. She even grabs a sword, pretends she's going to kill herself right there.
No way.
Yes. Dongzhuo, completely taken in now, wrestles the sword away, embraces her,
And says.
declares he was just teasing. He completely buys it.
Unbelievable.
And what truly stands out here isn't just her audacity, though that's impressive.
Right.
It's her strategic brilliance. Not only does she totally escape punishment,
She turns the tables.
immediately turns right on Liru, blames him,
Blames the advisor. How?
accuses him of conspiring with Lu Bu, says Liru doesn't care about Dongzhuo's reputation or her life.
Whoa.
Even swears she wants to eat his flesh alive. Vicious.
That completely flips the script.
Totally solidifies her position, isolates Liru, and makes Dongzhuo promise to take her away to Meiwu, his fortress retreat, for safety. He refuses to part with her now.
It's a perfect example, isn't it? How that narrative of victimhood can just dismantle loyalty and trust around someone powerful.
Textbook.
So the very next day, Liru tries one more time.
He does. Ever the optimist, or maybe just desperate.
Tries to convince Dongzhuo.
Yeah.
Give Dao Shan to Lu Bu. Emphasizes it's an auspicious day, apparently.
Yeah, appealing to superstition, maybe. But Dongzhuo, he's completely bewitched. Gone.
Flat out refuses.
Flat out. Cites his father-son bond with Lu Bu, which, you know, in ancient China carried huge weight. Betraying that. Almost unthinkable.
And he threatens Liru.
Threatens him with execution if he brings it up again. Shuts him down completely.
And this is where Liru just despairs.
Oh, it's palpable. The text says he steps out, looks up to the sky, sighing.
What does he say?
He laments, "We will all die by the hand of a woman." You can just feel his utter frustration.
The wise advisor seeing the train coming.
But the tyrant insists on standing on the tracks. Exactly, it's the classic dilemma. Sees the doom, powerless to stop it because the boss is blinded by his fatal flaw.
It's almost darkly humorous how often history shows us this, you know.
It really is.
And the text even includes this poetic lament, right?
Yes, it does.
C2's, Wang Yun's, brilliant plan entrusted to a red dress. No need for weapons, no need for soldiers. 3 battles at Hulao were in vain, but the triumphant song plays at Phoenix Pavilion.
That poem is it's a massive hint to you, the listener.
About the true mastermind.
Exactly, and the power of this psychological war. It basically sums it all up.
How so? What does it reveal?
Well, it tells us that the big military stuff, the massive battles at Hulao Pass, ultimately futile.
Okay.
The real victory, the true triumphant song, it comes from this far more subtle psychological war, orchestrated by Wang Yun.
C2 Wang Yin, high official.
Right. And his plan isn't about armies. It's about a red dress, Diao Chan. It's about how Dong Zhu's personal weakness, that all-consuming infatuation,
became the fatal vulnerability.
Precisely. Expertly exploited by Wang Yun, this hidden hand pulling the strings.
And just as Dong Zhu gets ready to leave for Mei Wu, Diao Chan sees Lu Bu watching them.
Another calculated move.
She faintly covers her face as if weeping bitterly.
Playing her part to the hilt.
Lu Bu, meanwhile, completely in the dark about her real game,
Totally clueless.
watches her carriage disappear, sighing and regretting bitterly. He's suffering, thinking he's lost her.
Yeah, that perceived loss, that profound emotional wound, that's exactly the resentment the conspirators need to fuel. He doesn't even know he's being manipulated into it.
Okay, so this is the moment, right, where the true architect, C2 Wang Yin, steps out of the shadows.
Now's his time.
He approaches the dejected Lu Bu, feigns concern, surprise, even claims like a slight illness kept him from seeing Lu Bu earlier.
Very smooth, planting the seeds.
Wang Yin's approach here is just brilliant, isn't it? Because he doesn't immediately bring up Diao Chan.
No, that would be too obvious.
Instead, he just asks simply, why is Lu Bu sighing?
Right. It's subtle. Lets Lu Bu open up himself.
And Lu Bu, in his despair, immediately confesses, it's all because of your daughter, planning Diao Chan.
And bam, Wang Yin has him. Lu Bu reveals his vulnerability, making himself an active participant in his own manipulation, essentially.
Wang Yin then plays the shocked, outraged father.
Oh yeah, full performance mode, feigns disbelief about Dong Zhu's beastly conduct.
Invites Lu Bu to his home for a secret chat.
Exactly, where Lu Bu then recounts the whole Phoenix Pavilion incident in detail.
Solidifying that narrative of betrayal in his own mind.
And Wang Yin masterfully stokes Lu Bu's indignation. Just pours fuel on the fire.
How does he do that?
He frames it as this unbearable shame, not just for his daughter, Diao Chan, but for Lu Bu himself. Calls it a disgrace to the whole world.
Wow, really dialing it up.
Then he dismisses himself, oh, I'm old and useless, but laments that a world-beating hero like Lu Bu suffers such humiliation.
And pushing all the right buttons.
It's classic manipulation, really. First, find the resentment, then validate it. Then give him the catalyst for action by knocking down any obstacles.
And it works. Lu Bu explodes.
Completely. Vows to kill this old scoundrel to avenge my shame. He's ready.
Yet, he hesitates. Just for a moment.
Briefly, yeah. He brings up that father-son relationship with Dong Zhu again.
And the fear of posthumous criticism, that tarnished legacy.
Right, that's a real concern in that culture. A ruined reputation after death.
But Wang Yun has the perfect comeback, doesn't he?
Oh, the killing blow. He says, General, you are surnamed Lu. Prime Minister Dong is surnamed Dong.
Making it clear they aren't really family.
Exactly. And then he twists the knife. When you threw the halberd, was there any father-son affection then?
Reminding him of a past act of defiance. A time Lu Bu already almost turned on Dong Zhu.
Precisely. It completely shatters that psychological bond, removes the last moral hurdle.
This raises a big question for us, doesn't it? How much of our own identity, our loyalty, is shaped by how we perceive relationships?
And how easily can that perception be shattered by someone cunning, someone who knows which emotional buttons to push?
Lu Bu certainly seems convinced now.
Fully resolved, he says, if not for your words, I would have erred. Basically, thanks for showing me the light.
And then he cuts his arm. Swears an oath in blood.
Yes, a very serious binding act. He's all in.
Wang Yin must be thrilled.
He feigns immense gratitude, kneels, praises Lu Bu for saving the Han dynasty. It's a powerful moment. Psychological victory complete.
So with Liu Bei firmly on board, the most formidable general now turned against the tyrant. Wang Yun wastes no time.
No time at all. He immediately consults with two other key officials.
Xu Sanrui and Huang Wan, to finalize the actual assassination plot.
Right. Time to figure out the nuts and bolts.
So what are the key vulnerabilities in Dong Zhu's routine, maybe his personality, that Wang Yun's team is looking to exploit with this meticulous plan?
Well, the plan they hatch is indeed meticulously crafted. It really plays on Dong Zhu's vanity and his trust in imperial authority.
How so?
The idea is the emperor, who supposedly just recovered from an illness, will send for Dong Zhu, summon him back to the capital from Meiwu for some important discussion.
And Dong Zhu being obsessed with his standing.
He'd naturally respond to imperial summons. He wouldn't question it. It feeds his ego.
Okay, so that's the lure. What's the trap?
Meanwhile, Liu Bei will hide armed soldiers inside the palace gates, ready for an ambush.
Classic trap. Lure the powerful, overconfident target into a confined space.
Where his usual military might becomes irrelevant.
Exactly.
Okay, next crucial step, finding someone to actually deliver this fake summons to Dong Zhuo. That seems risky. It is. They decide on Lu Su. He's a cavalry commander, and importantly, a compatriot of Liu Bei.
Does he have a reason to betray Dong Zhu?
Oh, yes. He has a grievance. Dong Zhuo apparently hasn't promoted him as he felt he deserved. Resentment again.
And Liu Bei ensures his cooperation.
He does. Reminds Li Su that he was the one who persuaded Liu Bei to betray his previous lord, Ding Yang, and join Dong Zhuo in the first place.
Using past actions as leverage. Basically, you convinced me to betray once, you better help me betray again, or else.
Pretty much. A veiled threat. And Li Su, already harboring that resentment.
Agrees readily.
Yep. Breaks an arrow as an oath of loyalty. A very serious commitment back then.
And Wang Yun sweetens the deal.
Of course. Promises him a high official position once Dong Zhuo is gone.
The trap's been set. Dong Zhuo's ego is, well, off the charts. He's holed up in his fortress, Meiwu.
Which wasn't just any fortress, mind you. He poured money into this place. His ultimate sanctuary. Packed with his elite flying bear soldiers.
His personal guard. Very fearsome.
Exactly. And into this supposedly impenetrable place walks Li Su.
Right, carrying what sounds like the best news ever from the emperor himself.
Yeah, Li Su spins this elaborate tale. He says the emperor's been sick, he's recovering, and he wants to abdicate, give the throne to Dong Zhuo.
Wow, just like that.
And he adds this detail. Wang Yun, a really high-ranking official, is already building the abdication platform at Weiyang Palace. Makes it sound totally official, like it's already happening.
And Dong Zhuo's reaction?
Oh, he's ecstatic, absolutely beside himself. He even mentions this dream he had a dragon covering his body.
Proof. Destiny.
That's exactly how he sees it. Proof. He's so convinced he immediately starts making arrangements. Tells his top generals Li Zhu, Guo Si, Zhang Ji, Fan Chao guard Meiwu with 3,000 flying bears. He thinks he's got it all covered.
He's already planning his imperial future.
Completely. He even promises Li Su the job of Zhenwu.
Which is?
Basically, marshal of the capital. Command of all the troops there. It's a huge position, showing incredible trust or, how much he bought the story.
And he doesn't stop there, does he?
No, he tells his mother, who's over 90 years old, Mom, you're going to be the Empress Dowager?
You'd think maybe a 90-year-old mother might have some reservations.
She does. She's scared. Says her meat trembles and heart pounds. Feels it's a bad omen.
But he just dismisses it.
Completely. Says it's just, natural excitement before becoming the mother of the nation. He's just incapable of seeing the warning signs.
Even from his own mother. And Diao Chen, the consort.
Oh, yeah. He promises her she'll be his noble consort. She's in on the whole plot, of course, so she just pretends to be happy. Plays her part perfectly.
Okay, so the setup is complete. Dong Zhu is riding high, totally oblivious. He heads off for Chang'an. But the warnings, they keep coming, right?
Almost immediately. They haven't gone 30 light. That's, maybe 10 miles? And bang, the wheel on his carriage breaks.
Okay, that's not subtle.
Not at all. So he switches to a horse. 10 li later, the horse just goes wild. Roaring, neighing, snaps its rein.
And Dong Zhu asks Li Su,
what does this mean? And Li Su, smooth as ever, spins it. Oh, this is great. Discarding the odd carriage, the old horse, for the new. The better horse, the imperial carriage. It's a sign you're ascending.
And Dong Zhu buys it.
Hook, line, and sinker. He wants to believe it, so he does.
It's like textbook confirmation bias, isn't it? He's looking for signs of his destiny, so that's all he sees.
Precisely. Li Su is just feeding him exactly what he wants to hear, twisting every bad sign into a good one.
And it keeps going.
Oh yes, the very next day, a huge wind kicks up. The sky goes dark, foggy. It sounds pretty ominous.
Let me guess. He asks Li Su again.
You got it, and Li Su. That's just red light and purple mist. Always accompanies a true ruler ascending. It adds to your heavenly might.
Unbelievable. Dongzuo is just pleased. No doubts.
None whatsoever. Completely blinded by the flattery and his own ambition.
So he finally gets near Chang'an. Big reception, officials bowing.
Everyone's there. Except one guy, Li Ru, his main advisor, his strategist. Supposedly ill at home?
Convenient.
Very. So Dongzhu gets to his residence, and Lu Bu, his adopted son, the great warrior, congratulates him.
The one he probably trusts most, militarily speaking.
Absolutely. And Dongzhu, still floating on Cloud 9, promises Lu Bu control over all military forces. Inspector General of the world's armies.
Wow. Supreme Commander, essentially.
Pretty much an insane amount of power. Lu Bu just bows, looks loyal, hangs around.
And then comes maybe the creepiest warning of all that night.
Yeah, this is chilling. There's a sound on the wind, kids singing outside the city walls. A mournful tune.
What were the words again?
1,000-mile grass, how green. 10-day fortune, cannot live.
Ah, okay. Sounds poetic, maybe a bit sad. Dongzuo asks Li Su.
Of course. And Li Su calmly says, oh, that just means the Liu dynasty, the Han emperors are finished, and the Dong dynasty, yours, is rising.
But there's a hidden meaning, isn't there? A word puzzle.
Exactly. This is the genius part. The characters for 1,000-mile grass combine to make the character Dong.
His name.
And the characters for 10-day fortune combine to make the character Zuo.
His other name. So this song literally says Dongzuo cannot live.
Precisely. It's a direct prophecy of his imminent death, hidden in a children's rhyme, and he completely misses it because Li Su gives him the interpretation he wants.
That is just, wow. He's hearing his own death sentence and thinks it's applause. The level of delusion is staggering.
It really is.
So the next morning arrives. The big day. He's getting ready, grand procession to the court, expecting a crown.
And there's still one more warning. He's on his way, and he sees this Taoist priest. Blue robe, white turban, holding a long pole. On the pole, there's a foot of cloth tied to it, and written on each end of the cloth is the character for mouth.
2 mouths. What does that mean? He asks Li Su, I assume.
He does. And Li Su, probably thinking we're almost there, just dismisses him. Ah, he's crazy, tells the soldiers, get rid of him.
But the 2 mouths, is that another puzzle?
It is. 2 mouth characters form the character Lu.
Lu, as in Lu Bu.
As in Lu Bu, his adopted son. The man he just promised supreme command, the final warning, literally spelling out the betrayer's name, and Li Su just waves it away.
Ignored his mother, ignored the broken carriage, the spooked horse, the wind, the fog, the kid seeing his death notice, and now a sign pointing directly to Lu Bu. This guy. He was determined not to see it.
Utterly determined. So the trap is finally sprung. He gets to the court. Officials greet him, probably forcing smiles. Li Su is right there, beside the carriage, holding a sword.
Then they reach the North Yet Gate.
And suddenly, all his soldiers are stopped. Can't go any further. Only Dongzhu and maybe 20 attendants are allowed in. He sees Wang Yin and the others, the main plotters, standing there, holding swords. He finally seems to get a flicker of doubt, asks Li Su, what's going on?
And Li Su
doesn't answer, just shoves the carriage forward. Then Wang Yun shouts it, the rebel has arrived! Where are the warriors?
And then all hell breaks loose.
Exactly. Suddenly, over 100 guys jump out from the sides, halberds, spears, just attacking the carriage.
Dongzhu was wearing armor, though, wasn't he?
He was, but he still gets wounded in the arm, falls out of the carriage, and that last desperate moment, what does he cry out?
Where is my son Fengxian? Lu Bu.
He's still calling for Lu Bu, the ultimate irony.
And Lu Bu appears.
Right from behind the carriage. No emotion, just shouts, by imperial decree, strike the traitor, and stabs Dongzhuo in the throat.
Vicious.
Li Su immediately steps in and cuts off Dongzhuo's head. It's brutal. Lu Bu then holds up his halberd, pulls out this decree scroll, and announces it formally. By imperial decree, strike the traitor Dongzhuo. Everyone else is pardoned.
And the reaction?
The officials just erupt, cheers, long live! Not for Dongzhuo, obviously, for the end of his tyranny.
So Dongzhuo is dead. What happens next? Cleanup.
Immediate cleanup. They start looking for his key supporters, especially Li Ru, the advisor who was supposedly sick. Li Su actually volunteers to go grab him.
But something else happens first.
Yeah, a bit of poetic justice, you could say. Almost right away, there's a commotion at the gate. Turns out Li Ru's own family servants tied him up and dragged him there to surrender him.
Wow. Even his own household turned on him.
Says a lot, doesn't it? Wang Yin doesn't hesitate. Orders Li Ru taken to the marketplace and executed. Swiftly removes Dongzhu's brain trust.
And Dongzhuo's body. The treatment wasn't dignified, was it?
Not even close. It was public humiliation on a grand scale. They drag his body to the public square. And the text says he was so incredibly fat
Yes.
that the soldiers stuck a wick in his navel, lit it like an oil lamp, and the fat just melted and flowed all over the ground.
That's grotesque.
It's shocking. People passing by were throwing things at his head, stamping on his body. Just sheer visceral hatred poured out.
Shows how much he was despised.
Absolutely. Then Wang Yin sends Lu Bu, Huang Fusong, and Li Su back to Meiwu Fortress with 50,000 soldiers.
Back to the place Dongzhu thought was his ultimate safe haven.
Right, to seize everything, all his wealth, his family, his remaining people. It really makes you think, you know? What does it say about power when your end is that brutal, that public, and your impenetrable fortress is just immediately overrun?
It says that power was maybe built on sand all along. Or in his case, maybe fat.
Huh, maybe. There's a poem later that sort of summed it up. Something like, grand ambition achieved, he'd be emperor. Failed. Just a rich man. Who knew heaven's will was impartial. Meiwu was just finished, and boom, already destroyed.
Perfect summary. So, Dongzhu, the big tyrant, he's dead. But his top generals, Li Zhu, Guoxi, Zhang Ji, Fan Chao, they don't exactly stick around for the funeral arrangements. The sources tell us they were, like, in pure panic mode, bolting from Liangzhu with their elite unit, the Feixiong army.
Yes, the Feixiong army, the Flying Bears. That was Dongzhu's personal guard. Notoriously fierce, very loyal. The fact they immediately fled from Liangzhu, which was this rugged frontier region known for its tough cavalry, well, it tells you just how utterly shaken they were by Dongzhu's sudden end.
Okay, but even before the dust settles on that, Lu Bu, the guy who actually killed Dongzhu, his first thought isn't chasing them down or consolidating power back in the capital, Chang'an. Nope. First thing he does when he gets to Meiwu, Dongzhu's really opulent stronghold, is recover Diaochan. What does that tell us? What were his priorities there?
It's an interesting window into his character, isn't it? Meiwu wasn't just some fort. It was Dongzhu's personal fortress palace, absolutely stuffed with his vast wealth. So for Lu Bu to prioritize Diaochan over, seizing control of such a strategic and wealthy spot, well, it suggests his personal attachments, or maybe just his vanity, sometimes outweighed pure strategic thinking, shows a certain impulsiveness too, perhaps.
Right. And while Lu Bu was busy with Diaochan, Wang Yin, the mastermind behind the whole plot against Dongzhu, he's not idle. Huang Fusong orders the release of all the good family women held captive there.
Yeah.
Okay. But Wang Yin, he had a much more ruthless purge in mind.
Oh, absolutely. Wang Yin's actions were incredibly swift and frankly brutal. Every single one of Dongzhuo's relatives, didn't matter how old they were, his mother, his brother, Dongmin, his nephew, Dongquang, just summarily executed. And then their heads were put on public display. This wasn't just eliminating potential threats. It was sending a terrifying message. The old regime is gone. Absolutely, irrevocably gone.
And alongside that brutality, the sheer scale of the plunder from Meiwu. It's almost unbelievable. The sources list hundreds of thousands in gold, millions in silver, countless other treasures, silks, jewels, fancy utensils, food stores, just immense wealth.
Yeah.
And this huge fortune was reported back to Wang Yin.
Yeah, and what's really striking is how quickly Wang Yin shifts gears. From that brutal consolidation of power straight into this outward show of triumph. He lavishly rewarded his soldiers, then threw this grand feast in the imperial hall, gathered all the officials, basically celebrating what they genuinely believed was a new era of peace and stability starting right then. They really thought the hard part was over, that their future was secure.
But those celebrations, they didn't last very long, did they? Just as the cheers are probably echoing through the hall, this chilling bit of news arrives. Someone, incredibly, was found openly weeping over Dongzhuo's desecrated corpse out in the marketplace. Wang Yun was absolutely furious, immediately ordered the person's arrest. Who on earth would dare do that?
Well, to everyone's complete astonishment, you can almost feel the air go right out of that celebratory room. The mourner was none other than Cai Yong. And he wasn't just some nobody. He was a respected court attendant and, crucially, a really renowned scholar, famous for his calligraphy, his historical knowledge. So this immediately throws up this profound conflict, right, between personal loyalty and national duty.
And Wang Yun just lays into him, harshly rebukes Taiyang, demanding to know why he, an official of the Han court, would mourn a rebel like Dong Zhuo instead of celebrating the nation's good fortune. Very public, very pointed.
Taiyang's plea is actually quite poignant, isn't it? He humbly admits his fault, says he understands great righteousness. But he explains his tears were, well, basically from gratitude for Dong Zhuo's one-time kindness, maybe some personal debt of honor there. He even offers to endure horrific physical punishment, tattooing his forehead and cutting off his feet, if he could just be spared to continue his massive work on the Han history. He's basically offering to atone with his body just to save his life's work, his legacy.
Wow. And many officials, clearly moved by this desperate plea and recognizing his extraordinary talent, they pleaded for his life. Even Grand Tutor Ma Ren privately advised Wang Yun, emphasized Kai Yung's unparalleled talent, his known filial piety. He actually warned Wang Yun that killing him would cause widespread public disillusionment. That's a serious warning.
But Wang Yun was completely resolute, wouldn't budge. He brought up the precedent of Emperor Wu sparing Sima Qian, whose historical writings later became, in Wang Yun's view anyway, slanderous books. So Wang Yun feared allowing a perceived flatterer, like Taiyang, to write the history for the young emperor, worried he might twist their own efforts, paint them badly. It shows this deep concern for controlling the narrative, controlling how history remembers them.
And Wang Yun, clearly disheartened by Wang Yun's inflexibility, privately remarked to other officials that Wang Yun might, quote, have no descendants. Ouch. And he famously declared, good people are the principles of the nation. Historical works are the classics of the nation. Destroying principles and abandoning classics, how can one last long? That's a pretty ominous prophecy, suggesting Wang Yun was basically sowing the seeds of his own downfall right there.
Yeah, and despite all those pleas, all those dire warnings, Wang Yun ordered Kai Yung's imprisonment and execution by hanging. The sources tell us that scholars, officials across the land, they wept when they heard the news, which really indicates the depth of public dismay and maybe foreshadows the loss of intellectual support for Wang Yun's whole regime.
And it led to this lasting historical debate, didn't it? Later generations kind of concluded that, okay, maybe Taiyang's mourning Dong Zhuo was inappropriate, sure, but Wang Yun's punishment was just excessively harsh. There's even a poem reflecting on it, drawing a parallel to Zhu Jiling, suggesting a true sage wouldn't lightly serve a rebellious minister. It really highlights Wang Yun's rigidity, doesn't it? His inability to bend, even when it might have been strategically smarter. So Wang Yun consolidates power with this really harsh hand, ends up alienating a lot of people, including intellectuals like Taiyang. But while he's focused on these internal purges, what about Dong Zhuo's surviving generals, the ones he'd publicly scorned, excluded from any amnesty? What were they planning out there on the fringes?
A crucial question, because their story immediately pivots, really, from desperation to this incredibly bold countermove. Li Ju, Guasi, Zhang Ji, Fan Chao. Having fled to Shaanxi, they initially sent envoys back to Chang'an seeking amnesty, just, clinging to that tiny sliver of hope.
And Wang Yun's response was, well, predictably uncompromising, wasn't it?
Totally. Flat refusal. He declared that, yeah, there'd be a general amnesty, but these four who had explicitly helped Dong Zhuo's tyranny, nope, specifically excluded.
That decision, his inflexibility there, it really sealed their fate, didn't it? And maybe his own, too, in the end.
It absolutely did. When the envoy reported back with that news, Li Ju was apparently so desperate he considered just scattering his forces, fleeing alone. But then his strategist, Jie Shu, offered this critical piece of advice that completely changed everything. This is one of those moments where a single idea just transforms the entire situation.
Okay, so what was this game-changing advice?
Jie Shu told them, look, fleeing alone makes you easy targets. Even a village chief could pick you off. Instead, he proposed this daring, almost audacious plan. Gather local forces, combine them with your remaining troops, and then attack Chang'an to avenge Dong Zhuo. He argued, hey, if you succeed, you can serve the court from a position of strength. If you fail, well, you can still try to escape then. This wasn't just military advice, it was psychological. It shifted them from being hopeless fugitives to being this attacking force with a clear purpose. Gave them agency again.
And they used a really cunning recruitment strategy too, didn't they? Tapping right into public fear.
Oh, yeah. Convinced by Jie Shu, Li Ju and his allies spread this rumor all through Xiliang Zhudong Zhuo's old power base that Wang Yun planned to basically purge everyone from the region, massacred them, caused widespread panic.
That's classic psychological warfare right there.
Exactly, and then they followed up with this direct, chilling call to arms. Dying for nothing is useless. Will you rebel with us? And the tactic worked spectacularly. Shows you the power of fear as a motivator. Over 100,000 people, terrified of Wang Yin's supposed purges, rallied to their cause. This wasn't really an army of loyalists to Dong Zhuo anymore. It was an army born out of sheer panic and self-preservation.
They then divided this massive, newly formed army into 4 routes and started advancing on Chang'an. And along the way, they run into Dong Zhuo's son-in-law, Lieutenant General Niu Fu. He's leading about 5,000 troops, also wanting to avenge his father-in-law.
Right, and Liu Zhu immediately merges forces with Niu Fu, makes him their vanguard. The storm, as you said earlier, was definitely gathering pace now.
Okay, so the Xiliang army is on march. It's swelling in numbers, driven by fear and vengeance. Wang Yin hears about this, naturally consults Lu Bu, the flying general, maybe the greatest warrior in the age. But Lu Bu, ever the confident warrior, just dismisses the threat. Says something like, these rats are no match.
Yeah, that overconfident. It's a consistent theme with Lu Bu, isn't it? So he dispatches one of his officers, Li Su, to go confront Niu Fu. Li Su initially does okay, actually pushes Niu Fu back. However, later that very night, Niu Fu launches this devastating surprise attack on Li Su's camp. Utter chaos, crushing defeat. Li Su's army flees like 12 miles, 20 kilometers, suffers heavy losses.
And when Li Su reports this defeat back to Lu Bu is absolutely enraged, accuses Li Su of frustrating our spirit, and then in this swift, brutal display of his temper just executes him, puts his head on display at the camp gate. No patience for failure there.
Nope. So the next day, Lu Bu himself engages Niu Fu and again defeats him. Lu Bu's personal combat skill is still top-notch, but the cycle of betrayal just keeps rolling. That night, Niu Fu confides in his trusted man, Hu Qier, suggests they secretly sneak off with gold and jewels, abandon the army. Hu Qier agrees, but then shockingly betrays Niu Fu, kills him down by a river to steal the treasure himself, and then presents Niu Fu's head to Lu Bu.
Unbelievable. And Lu Bu, after he learns the truth from Niu Fu's followers, he then executes Hu Qier for his treachery. It's just this ruthless cycle of betrayal and swift, brutal justice. So, Lu Bu then advances, finally encounters Li Zhu's main army, and true to form, Lu Bu doesn't even wait for them to get into formation, charges straight in, forces Li Zhu's troops back over 50 lines. It seems like his individual prowess is still basically unstoppable.
It is formidable, no doubt. He's an incredible warrior. But this is where Li Zhu's strategic mind really comes into play. Despite that initial setback, his generals hold a meeting, and Li Zhu calmly assesses Lu Bu. She says basically, he is brave, but without strategy. And that is the crucial insight. That's what explains their eventual success against the seemingly invincible Lu Bu. Li Zhu sees beyond just the brute force.
Right, and then they devise this really shrewd, multi-pronged attack plan that directly exploits Lu Bu's lack of strategic depth.
Exactly. Li Zhu would guard a valley entrance, provoke Lu Bu daily just to wear him down, keep him occupied. Guo Si would lead this flanking maneuver from behind using the historical Peng Yu's method of disrupting Chu.
Okay, Peng Yu's method, what's that involve?
It's a classic deception tactic. Basically, you advance when you hear drum beats, retreat when you hear gongs. It creates the illusion of a much larger, more mobile force that seems to appear and disappear randomly. It wears down the enemy's resolve, makes them overextend themselves, trying to pin you down. And while that's happening, Zhang Ji and Fan Chao would divide their forces and march directly on Chang'an itself. This brilliant strategy was designed to just overwhelm Lu Bu, right? Force him to defend on multiple fronts at once. He couldn't possibly save both ends. It guaranteed his ultimate defeat. Really highlights the stark contrast between Lu Bu's individual bravery and their collective strategic cunning. Right. So Lu Bu leads his men down to the base of the mountain, expects a proper battle, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But Li Zhu and Guo Si, too, they're not playing that game. They use these really frustrating, almost guerrilla tactics. The source says arrows and stones just rain down from the mountain. Lu Bu can't advance.
So they're keeping him at bay.
Exactly. Then Guo Si pops up at the rear, but the moment Lu Bu turns to fight him, poof, he retreats.
Oh, that's maddening.
Totally. And just as Lu Bu thinks about pulling back, Lu Bu's forces show up again. This back and forth, this cat and mouse, as you said, where Lu Bu, quote, couldn't fight, couldn't stop, The text makes it clear he was enraged.
I can imagine. This isn't just a quick skirmish, right? This goes on for days.
Several days, yeah.
Yeah.
Lu Bu is just completely frustrated, pinned down by these tactics.
It sounds like more than just a military tactic. It feels psychological, almost designed to break him.
Oh, absolutely. It's classic asymmetrical warfare. Lu Bu's known for his, incredible strength in a direct fight, his personal prowess.
Right, the warrior.
Exactly. So Lu Ju and Guosi, by refusing that direct fight, by just harassing him, they neutralize his biggest advantage. They're not trying to beat him head on. They're trying to exhaust him, demoralize his soldiers, and crucially, distract him from what else is happening.
And that distraction proves fatal, doesn't it? Because while Lu Bu's stuck dealing with this tactical nightmare.
Another alarm sounds, yeah. Word comes that two other forces, these ones led by Zhang Ji and Fan Chao, they're hitting Chang'an directly, the imperial capital.
Oh, wow. So Lu Bu has to abandon the fight he's in.
He has no choice. He has to rush back to the city. But Lu Ju and Guosi, they're right on his tail, pursuing him relentlessly. He loses, the text says, a good many men just getting back.
And when he finally makes it to Chang'an,
it's already under siege. The source uses this vivid language. Enemy forces gathered like clouds and rain, just completely surrounding the city.
So a massive external threat.
Yes, but here's the kicker. It's not just the outside pressure. There's internal rot.
Yeah.
Lu Bu's own soldiers, apparently fearing his tyranny and cruelty, they start defecting, switching sides.
Defecting to the attackers.
To the enemy, yes. This completely undermines his defense from within. And now Lu Bu is, as the source puts it, very worried.
That's a double blow. Attacked from outside, betrayed from inside. The situation sounds desperate, and it gets worse.
It gets much worse very quickly. Turns out there were Dong Zhuo loyalists inside the city walls all along. Li Meng and Wang Feng.
Ah, waiting for their moment.
Precisely. They choose this moment to betray Chang'an. They secretly open the city gates. And those four enemy armies just flood in.
Oh, no.
Lu Bu fights. The text says he's charging left and right, desperately trying to hold them back. But the numbers, the surprise, it's impossible.
So chaos. Utter chaos in the capital.
Complete chaos. Lu Bu, now with only, a few hundred cavalry left, he rides to the outer gate, and he sees Wang Yun.
Wang Yun, the minister who masterminded Dong Zhuo's assassination plot.
The very same. Lu Bu yells at him, tells him to get on a horse, let's escape together, regroup, plan something new.
An escape route. A chance to survive.
But Wang Yun, his response is just incredible. He basically says, if the gods allow the nation to be saved, great. If not, I die with it. I won't be a coward and run.
Wow.
He even tells Lu Bu, go tell the eastern warlords, put the nation first. Lu Bu keeps pleading, but Wang Yun just won't leave.
That's a powerful moment. Refusing escape for a principle, even facing certain death. What does that tell you about Wang Yun's character and maybe the ideals he represented?
I think it shows an immense, almost stubborn commitment to the Han Dynasty, to the idea of the state. He's like this symbol of old loyalty in a time when warlords are carving things up for themselves.
A dying breed, perhaps?
Perhaps. His refusal isn't just personal bravery, it's a statement against the chaos, against the warlordism. He embodies that ideal of sacrificing for the empire, even as it's collapsing around him. It's tragic, really. A commentary on trying to hold on to ideals in a brutal world.
And Lu Bu sees this, sees the flames everywhere.
Yeah, flames are shooting up from every gate by now. Lu Bu finally gives up trying to persuade him. The source is blunt. He abandons his family, takes just over 100 horsemen and bolts, fleeing the pass, heading towards Yuanshu.
Leaving Wang Yun and the capital to its fate. So what happens next? Chang'an has fallen.
Carnage. Li Ju and Guosi let their troops loose, plundering the city. The source actually lists several high-ranking officials who die in the chaos. Important figures.
Like who?
Let's see. The Grand Minister of Ceremonies Zhong Fu, Grand Coachman Lu Ku, Grand Herald Zhu Huan, the City Gate Commandant Kui Lai, and an officer of the Yueki Cavalry Wang Qi. Basically, key parts of the imperial administration are wiped out.
A national disaster, as the source calls it.
Truly. The rebels even push right into the inner palace. They surround it. It gets so bad that Emperor Xian himself, the young emperor, has to appear on the Swanping Gate to try and get them to stop.
The emperor himself has to intervene.
He does. And Li Ju and Guosi, when they see him, they pause. They order their troops to halt, and they shout, "Long live!"
A show of respect? Or something else?
Well, it looks like respect, but it feels performative, doesn't it? Especially given what happens next.
Right, because the emperor asks them, point blank, why are you here? Why enter Chang'an without my permission?
And their answer is just, A masterclass in political spin. They look up and claim Dong Zhuo was loyal, that Wang Yun murdered him unjustly. They say they're only here for revenge, not rebellion. Just give us Wang Yun, they say, and we'll withdraw.
So they're framing their invasion as loyalty. That's bold.
It's incredibly bold. They're trying to legitimize seizing the capital by force, painting themselves as righteous avengers for Dong Zhuo.
But for the emperor, I mean, having to stand there and listen to this justification for an attack on his own capital, that must have been utterly humiliating. Did he have any real power at that moment?
None, effectively. His appearance is a desperate gamble, trying to leverage the symbol of his authority. But Li Ju and Guo Si's demands show who's really in charge, that long live. It's hollow. It's for show while they dictate terms. The emperor is basically a hostage, forced to hear them demand his minister's head.
And Wang Yan hears all this. He's right there beside the emperor.
He is. He hears their demands. He turns to the emperor and tells him, essentially, don't feel bad about sacrificing me for the nation. And then he declares he's going down to face them himself.
He's going to confront them directly.
That's exactly what he does. He leaps down from the tower of Shuampin Gate, shouting, Wang Yun is here!
Incredible bravery. Or perhaps resignation.
Maybe both. Li Ju and Guo Si draw their swords. They demand to know what crime Dong Zhuo committed that was so bad he deserved death.
And Wang Yan throws it back at them.
He does. He says Dong's crimes were unspeakable. They reached heaven and earth. The day he died, everyone in Chang'an celebrated. Didn't you hear?
Wow. Talk about defiance.
Pure defiance. Then Li Ju and Guo Si ask, well, why shouldn't they be pardoned? And Wang Yan just explodes, cursing them. Rebels. What more is there to say? For me, Wang Yan, there's only death today.
His final words.
His final words. And the two rebels kill him, right there, below the tower.
Such a dramatic end. The historian even includes a poem, right?
Yes, praising him. It talks about his plans against Dong Zhuo, his loyalty piercing the heavens, his spirit lingering. It really cements him as this tragic, heroic figure.
But the tragedy doesn't end with his death, does it?
No, it gets even more brutal. The rebels then send men to slaughter Wang Yin's entire family, old and young, wiped out. The source notes that the ordinary people of Chang'an wept at this, a final chilling detail showing the depth of the vengeance.
Devastating. What a sequence of events. We've seen these cunning tactics, betrayal from within, and this incredibly heroic, but ultimately futile sacrifice.
It really is heartbreaking, and the source leaves us hanging, doesn't it? Li Ju and Guo Si are now in control, and they're actually wondering aloud if they should just kill the emperor too, to scheme big things.
The chilling thought.